4. Tessa has asked me to introduce our host today, and I'll introduce myself. Cllaudia Kowesque, Dancing Heron, Dances with Death. We are here in my Salagi homeland on our sacred mountain Adagul in the river basin Wayumi Ganaita, the French Broad River. We are the Salagi people who resisted the removal on the Trail of Tears and the reservation called Cherokee. And we have some things in common here on the same continent with the Mayan calendar. We call it the Venus calendar. And my grandmother Raven Hale wrote a book called Cherokee Astrology, which is based on the same calendar that Cllaudia is going to tell us about today. And she wrote it so that she could share our ways in a format that wouldn't be challenged, that could go out there in a familiar way. It's like the Mayan calendar paves the way for our Venus calendar in the Selagi Cherokee way that grandmother Raven Hale wrote about. So I have really enjoyed getting to know Cllaudia these last couple years in our Indigenous Women's Circle. We are both part of the Four Worlds Indigenous University that's starting up this spring to teach people all over the world how to use the talking circle concepts. And my experience with Cllaudia is that she is so helpful and so available in the Indigenous warrior way that just does the next right thing, just sees it and does it. And this is so needed in our culture right now because we're mainly focused on the hero ways that say, look at me, I'm the greatest, I just did something, whatever it was, in the hero way. And actually, the Indigenous warrior way is just do the next right thing and go on to the next right thing. It's usually like just washing the dishes or taking care of ourselves in this way of communing what we're about. And I'm also reminded by my relationship with Cllaudia that it takes an interaction, it takes a good bit of time to really experience the Indigenous ways without appropriation. We've been together for a couple years, and we were able to talk about what she shares and actually share our experience of what she is sharing so that we can come back to her and say, well, my experience was this. How close am I? Can you deepen my understanding? And we can share amongst ourselves what our experience of Cllaudia's teachings actually was, so that we really have a deeper experience and understanding of what's being shared. And there's less of a risk for appropriation in that way. So I really invite all of you to come in to the things that Cllaudia shares when they call to you. And she is so available. She is on Facebook and she's in our talking circle. Of course, you're all welcome to join us in the Four Worlds Indigenous Talking Circles also. And I'm going to introduce her to you now so that you know where she's coming from. Cllaudia Valdes is of Guatemalan descent. She taught me to say Guatemalan instead of Guatemalan because Guatemalan is her traditional Mayan way, and we want to respect that as much as possible and bring back our original words, ways, names, teachings, as much of our Indigenous based sharing as possible. And I invite all of you to join in that movement that we are feeling for maybe the first time. There is an opening there that we really want to share. So Cllaudia spends her winters with her Mayan ancestral elders and healers. She is a Mayan, and I'm going to get this word right. I'm actually going to look, so I'm sure I get this word right. And you guys can say it. It's an Ashkaik. It's a beautiful word. She's trained in the Mayan way with her elders, and she has been confirmed as an Ashkaik. She is also a psychic medium, certified life coach, an energy worker, and she owns a beautiful store there in Hamilton, Ontario called Treasures for the Soul. And there's a lot of beautiful stones and crystals and things that Cllaudia can help you figure out online if you want. She is also a very active worker in the Canadian pagan and spiritual communities where she's been presenting, vending, and working for the last 20 years. When not with her teachers and elders in Guatemala in the winter, she tends to the 42-acre Stoneheart Retreat Center she co-founded in Coe Hill, Ontario. And I can tell you from the photos that there is some beautiful water. There is a beautiful water basin right there on the retreat that Cllaudia holds. So I strongly encourage you to welcome her and to interact with her within these teachings. And I was asked by our beautiful host, Tessa, whom has really, really worked so hard putting all this together. 7 of us women actually came together in the middle of the night on the last eclipse and started this co-creation process so that we could share as much as possible that would be meaningful to all of you. So I'm going to just do an earth beat drum for 2 minutes, and then Cllaudia is going to come in and share her teachings with you. If anybody feels like they want to jump around, move around before we sit here for an hour and a half, you are welcome to dance to this earth beat drum beat. Please keep your video on in gallery view. We're recording in gallery view today so that we can all be seen and interact with Cllaudia Valdes.
Thank you so much, Gail. Thank you so much for that wonderful earth beat, heartbeat. Welcome, everyone. New Year's, Happy New Year's in the Gregorian calendar anyway, because today I'm here to talk about the Mayan calendar. My day on the 7 days of rest was about communing. And it just happened to work so well because the Mayan calendar is all about communing. It's about how we interact, not only with ourselves, with others, with the plants, with nature, with the whole entire universe. We are all, every one of us is connected. We are all in relationship. And the calendar talks about this. Today, specifically, I'm going to be talking about the Chokin or the Tsokin calendar. And this calendar is divided up into 20 major energies. We call them the day lords. And these energies are further broken down by 13 tones or added 13 tones. It's like two cogs in a wheel. There's different cogs that spin this calendar. And this calendar is cyclical, like we are cyclical. Everything is in cycles. And it's not just around, but it is cyclical, spiral, where it spirals outwards. It evolves. We evolve. Nature, everything evolves around us and with us. And how do we relate to these things? How do we coincide and exist together is really important. I'm not going to get into the tones so much today. I just want to get into the actual general energies, the 20 main energies. The heartbeat, it allows us to resonate with our own heart, the earth beat, our own beat. Now we're going to take that into our waters because today is the day of Imosh. And Imosh is about the sacred waters. It's about the lakes, the rivers, the mother's womb, where we all come from. Imosh is looked at pretty much the collective consciousness, or in the Darwinian, it's that primordial soup where we all come from, where we all spring from. So I want everybody to just really tune in and let's feel those waters. The calendar and the energy of today, the elders, the grandmothers and the grandfathers asked us to touch base with our internal waters, to give thanks to the waters that support us. I saw Pamela grab her glass. The waters are very important. And our waters are constantly changing. It is the collective consciousness. What are we dreaming into existence? So I just want you to sit there and again, tune in with your waters. How do they make you feel? Is it a healthy flow? And if not, that's okay. What is it telling you that's amiss? What's off that you need to put into balance? Not only our own waters, but the waters that support us on this planet. Think about the body of water that's close to you, whether it's a small creek, whether it's a rushing river, the lakes. Think about those waters for a few moments, our internal waters. What are you dreaming into those waters? From your heart, send love to the waters. Know that it's our responsibility to protect the waters, to keep the waters clean, the waters that nourish us, the waters that we come from. Thank the waters. May we never thirst. The calendar then moves us into the day of Ik. Ik is the sacred wind. Ik is our breath. Ik talks about how everything moves and is put into motion because of the wind. Because of the wind, there is movement. On this day, it asks us to look at how do we breathe? Are our breaths shallow? Are they deep? This day, Ik, also represents communication. That's part of our breath. So how do we communicate? What is the tone of our language? And how do we communicate with others and with our world? The words we use are really important. The winds of change that carry us through one day to the next. So the grandmothers and the grandfathers asks us to breathe into that energy. Commune with that energy. Deep cleansing breaths. Think about how every breath supports you, supports the next. Again, our responsibility to keep our air clean, to keep the pollutants out of our air is important. Air is vital to our survival. We are taught that we need to respect and we need to be grateful for these elements and for these beings. Feel into that energy of your breath. How do you want to walk on this earth? And how do you want to share that breath with others? It then leads us to the next day, Akabal. Akabal represents the dawning of the new day. It is the time between times. It's the light and the dark. It's the day and the night. It's those things that are hidden, that are not quite brought forth. It's the new things, those things that are not quite formed yet. So it's almost kind of like conception. It's been impregnated, but it still hasn't developed yet to be birthed fully from that dream state. You know, it's there. It's the quiet times. During those dark and quiet times, how does it resonate with you? Some people feel comfort. Some people like the darkness. Some people fear it. Some people are uncomfortable. What is your personal relationship to the dark? What are you growing in that dark? and bringing forth into the light. I want you to take a few moments and commune with the spirit of Akabay. Tap in to that darker space. Find that in-between space. And what does it bring up for you? How do you feel about this space? How can we be in right relation with this space? How can we develop a healthier relationship with the unknown and get comfortable with it and trust it? Beauty does come from those places of rest. The nighttime is where we dream. That then moves us on to the energy of cat. Cat is the net. Cat is all about entanglements. What do we collect? What do we harvest? What do we hold on to? Are we hoarding things because we're afraid to release it? If our net is weighed down and it's too heavy, we have to drag this with us. Is it slowing us down? Sometimes we need to open up the net and release some of the things that no longer serve us, and to be able to allow new things to come into our net. Are certain things consistently catching you? Are you being caught up in that net of entanglement? So I want you to breathe into the energy of cat. I want you to commune with the energy of that net that you have and you hold within you. What do you want to release? What do you no longer need anymore? It's okay to thank those things and to let them go. As we lighten our net, I want you to think about the things that you'd like to open up to. What would you like to collect? Breathe into that energy. Then we take our net and all of the wonderful treasures that we have in it, that we are holding on to, and we move on to the energy of Kan. Kan is the life force. Excuse me. Kan is the Kundalini energy. Kan is also represented by the sexual energy. Kan, if we are in right relationship with the use of our power, with the use of our life force. These are the things that we question on these days. Our sexuality, are we using it as a toy? Are we holding it against someone? All of these energies come under the day of Gan. So what part of yourself, what are you doing that you need to empower? Feel into that energy. How do you use your life force? What part of you needs to be empowered? And sometimes we have a little bit too much force and too much power, and we steamroll over situations and things and people. Where can we be more gentle? Are we wasting our energy on things that don't serve us and don't refuel us? From the life force energy of Gan and how we use that energy, we move on to Kame. Kame represents death. It represents transition and that rebirth. Kame is where we remember our ancestors and we commune with our ancestors. So on days of Kame, it's a good day to see and remember, call on those who opened the road for us, who walked this path before us. Whether we know our ancestors or not, we resonate with them and they resonate with us. We are connected. The times of transition from kindergarten and grade school to high school, from high school to college and university, from college and university to the workforce, from the workforce to retirement, from retirement to the death, and there's a rebirth in the afterlife. These are all transitions that we go through. What are we rebirthing right now? What do we get a chance to redo again? Take a few moments and breathe into this energy. As we commune with this energy of transition, ask those ancestors to step in and to assist, to support that transition. Our cells are always looking to regenerate. Our ancestors are always looking to support us. Give thanks. From there, we move on to Kech. Kech is the energy of the wild, the wilderness. Kech is represented by the deer. It's our animals. Oh, the ancestors made me emotional. So Kech is the deer. It's about balance. It is that wildness. It's our balance. A lot of our animals, the four-leggeds, they have that balance. It's instinct. How do our instincts serve us? This is what we think about. How do our instincts prove us right? When we follow them. How do they keep us safe? We look at all of the things in nature. Are we comfortable in nature? Can we let loose in nature? Sometimes we're very comfortable. And sometimes the nature is, a little scary for some. It can be intimidating. We can look at nature and the animals, where are we in this great cycle, in this great chain? Are we predator? Are we prey? I want you to take a few moments and commune with the energy of Kech. Commune with the energy of the wild. Where do you need to get back in touch with nature? Do you spend enough time in nature with our plants, with our trees, our wonderful medicines? We are constantly exchanging energy with them as well as them with us. In these 7 days of rest and renewal, are we achieving that balance of rest and wild? Breathe into the energy of those instincts that surface up in you. They help and they serve. Trust in those instincts. After we sit with that energy, we move on to the energy of Canil. Canil is the energy of the seed, the cosmic seed. Canil is the things that we plant. When to harvest them? When is it ripe? Is it the right time to pick? If we leave things in the ground or on that vine for just a little longer, will it be that much sweeter? Will it produce that much more? Sometimes if we're patient, just waiting that extra couple of days. There's some berries that look like they're for the picking and you want to get in there, but if you just wait a few more days, it's like, oh, they just expand. And it's like, oh, okay. It's like mushrooms. You can't pick them all because they need those spores to continue to grow. So Canil, the seed, teaches us about what to plant, when to harvest, and enjoy the fruits of our seeds. The seeds, this is our food. This is what nourishes us on Mother Earth. This is what gives us substance. Breathe into that energy. What is your connection to the plants? What have you planted over the last year? Breathe and think into that. Everything has different life cycles. Some things grow in a couple of months, some things a little longer, some trees take a couple of years before they give fruit. What seeds have you planted? And keep watering those seeds with the energy of Emosh, with the energy of the water. And know that they will come to ripen. After giving thanks to our seeds and to what we plant, the energy that follows is Toch. Toch is about the sacred fire. Toch is about offerings. The sacred fire is very, very important in the Mayan tradition. The sacred fire gives us warmth. It allows us to cook our food. But Toch also is transformation. Now, the god Toch, what he asked for when he gave us this day was to make offerings. So this day to us is all about making offerings and reciprocation, gifting to the divine, being truth and real from the heart. We don't have to make huge, huge offerings, but something that's real, something that's from the heart. How do we exchange with one another? How do we exchange with those seeds and with the medicine that feeds us? Toch is about paying debts. How do we give thanks? We make a lot of offerings into the sacred fire because the fire is the vessel of the in-between. I was taught by the elders that the fire takes the energy from this dimension to the other dimension. It is part of that gateway that helps transform. So we use the fire a lot. We take everything to the fire. Before I started today, I lit my candle. It is the fire. Even our own spirit, that spark within us, that is our fire. How do we honor that? How do we give thanks? These are the days that we look at. Are there bills that need to be paid? Did someone send me something? I forgot to write that thank you note, and maybe I should, say a thank you right now. How do we reciprocate? How do we exchange? Breathe into that for a few moments. How do you gift your own sacred fire? So after we feel into our right relationship with fire and with offerings and exchange, we move on to the energy of sea. Sea is loyalty. Sea is sacred authority. It is our politicians. It's our government. It's our police officers. C is that sacred authority, our morals and our ethics. This is the energy in the day where we look at what are we championing? How are we standing up for other people? How do we lead? What kind of leaders do we want to be? What does leadership mean? What does that mean to you? How do you show loyalty? How do you show loyalty to yourself? Who are you loyal to? Take a few moments and feel into that energy. How do you lead others? And when we are in those leadership roles, how do we want to lead? On these days, we also ask for sacred authority, for right morals and ethics to be had by our politicians and our government and our police officers, anyone, our teachers, anyone in authority. Feel into that energy. What do you want to see? How do you want to be led? By who do you want to be led by? Now the energy moves on to bats. Bats is the energy of the performers, the artists, the musicians. Bats has the energy of creativity. It is the beginning. It is the start. It's our umbilical cord. Bats is looked at as the start. So during this time, during this day, we look at how do we create? What am I creating? How do I play? Play is so important. Music. Nature is affected by music. Our spirits are affected by music. All of the beauty that we see. So as you commune with this energy, ask yourself, what do I want to create? What do I want to start new? How do I play? It's funny because bats, they're all the Nawals, all the energies have a lot of animal totems. And bats is represented by the monkey. And those monkeys love to play around. Sometimes we take life too seriously. And we need to play, we need to create just for beauty's sake. This is a day where we thank our performers and our musicians and our artists. We've got wonderful songs out there. We've got wonderful movies and theater productions out there. This is all under the energy of bats. Then the energy leads us to E. E is the road. It's known as the path or the journey. This makes us think about how do we take our steps on Mother Earth? Do we tread lightly? Do we stomp real hard? Do we blaze our trail? How do we walk on this path? The path is about the experiences that we collect along the way. It's not necessarily about where we're going. It's about what we see, what we do, what we learn, what we experience. I want you to think, take a deep breath, and tune into this energy. Tune into your path, the road that you're on. Are you on this road of your choosing? Or did someone else decide for you? Does this path feel right for you? Does it feel supportive? Or do you have to take that next veer off that you see, that next shortcut, or that next path? Is it time to turn? Are you walking with joy and happiness in your step? Or are you hesitating? Sometimes how we walk on this journey, our perception, it's all about our perception. And it's okay to choose whichever path you want. It's okay to stomp down that road some days, and it's okay to skip along the road some days. But it is a choice. From we move into the energy of is our backbone. This is represented by the corn. The corn has its roots deep into Mother Earth, and then it stretches out as far as it can to the sky. So this is bravery and standing up and getting our backbone, knowing that we're rooted into the earth, but stretching out. So how do you stand up and stretch out? How do you stand up at home? How do you stand up in your community? What do you stand up for? Are you doing it in a healthy way? Am I championing the right things? Am I using my energy, my backbone, to support where support is needed? Am I being responsible? And when I'm able to respond, am I speaking up? Am I showing a better way? Sometimes it's easy to sit there and say, someone else can do it. Or it's easy to sit there and say, I'm going to leave it up in God's hands. And yes, sometimes we need to. That's, sometimes is this something that we need to stand up for? Or is it not mine? But are we having the courage to stand up when we need to speak up when we need to? I want you to breathe into that energy. Where do you need to be brave and courageous? Where are you assisting in your community? When are you championing for yourself? Because again, as within, so without. It's internal and it's external. Are we standing up for ourselves? Are we saying, yes, I need to do this? Or no, I don't want to do that. That doesn't feel right. This energy now leads us into Ish. Ish is the next energy, and it's the female energy. This is sacred earth, Mother Earth. It's our altars, it's our shrines, it's our mothers, it's our daughters, it's our sisters, it's our wives, it's our girlfriends. This is the female energy. How do we take care of our females? How do we support them? How do we nurture that? Ish reminds us of gratitude. Mother Earth gives us everything. Everything is supported and lives on Mother Earth. I want you just to sit with that. Connect and send from your heart to Mother Earth that love, that gratitude into that space. Invite the energy of your mothers. Invite the energy of your grandmothers, of your daughters, of your co-workers, of all of those female energies. How are we in right relation with our sisterhood, with the feminine? Women, are you encouraging and supporting your other sisters? Are you empowering and proud and okay in your femininity? Whatever that is, and however you want that to be for you. Men, are you in balance with your feminine side? How are you supportive of the females in your life? The energy that gives life. From this wonderful energy, we now move on to the energy of Tzikeen. Tzikeen is the energy of the bird. It's the higher view. In the Maya, we think of it as the Quetzal. Here in North America, where I reside for most of my year, it is the eagle. In the South, it is the condor. Tzikeen is that larger view. It's that bigger vision. It's also manifesting in prosperity. Manifesting in prosperity. A lot of people think, wow, in the spiritual aspect, people are going to be concerned about material stuff or prosperity. But you know, it's very important. The elders have taught me that if we are worried about finances or if we are worried about the abundance, it's hard to focus on community. It may lead us astray. It may lead us into wrong ways. So we do ask for abundance. We do ask for prosperity. We give thanks for these things so that it makes other things easier for us, so that we can take care of our community, so that we can support other people and not be necessarily concerned with the day-to-day, how do we feed ourselves? Abundance is there for everyone. So I want you to think about, feel into this energy. How do you feel about the word prosperity and abundance? Open yourself up to this. Allow yourself to receive. Because we know that when we're abundant, we have more to offer and more to give and provide. It's ever growing. How often do you look at the bigger picture? Are you too concerned with the small, minuscule details? With those itty little bitty things all the time instead of seeing the bigger picture? Sometimes are we looking at the bigger picture too much? And do we have to focus on the smaller now that we've gotten that wider perspective? So it's Tzikeen. How do you view your world? Greater vision for the greater whole, for the greater good. It then leads us to the energy of Mak. Achmak is forgiveness. Achmak is pardon. Achmak. How do we let go and start forgiving ourselves, each other? Forgiving and pardoning, releasing that energy that just keeps us blocked up. Everything starts from within. So again, just sit with that energy and allow yourself to forgive. Forgive because you didn't know at the time. Forgive because they were mistakes. Forgive is beauty. It's new opportunities. Take that heart energy and really see it working through all of your cells and forgiving yourself. And then resonate that energy out and forgive anyone that may have hurt you, anyone who did you wrong, hurt, release that. Take that moment right now. From the energy of forgiveness and pardon, we then move on to the energy of Noch. Noch is seen as the energy of knowledge, of wisdom. And we look at how do we use what we learn? How do we qualify what we've learned? What are our qualifiers? The things that we've learned, have they caused blockages in us? Have they caused us to fear? No, is the ability to take these experiences, to take the laughter, to take the hurt, to take the knowledge, all of these lessons, and to turn it into the wisdom and how to properly use this knowledge and these lessons to keep going and to do things better, to change the outcome of things. How to avoid the bumps in the road. These acquired experiences. There's so much wisdom in it. Think into that energy. Relate with that energy. Your wisdom, your knowing. How have all of those experiences, all of your lessons gotten you to this point? How are you using all of that accumulative knowledge? Where are you gathering your knowledge from? From books, from TV, from elders, from earth, from the plants, from friends. Where do we gather all of this knowledge? And what do we put that through in our framework? And how do we process that? How do we learn and grow from it? From Noch, the wise Noch, we move to the energy of Tihash. Tihash, oh, I have my obsidian blade here. Tihash is the obsidian blade. Tihash is all about healing. Tihash, I love to break it down into 3 easy ways. It's known as the blade for the warrior. It's known as the blade for the surgeon, or it's the blade that chisel for the sculptor. And they're all in regards to healing, though. The warrior in right way will sit there and protect, will defend. It's not to push our weight around, it's not to go and start fights. But how do we defend and protect? Tihash, the blade. How do we cut away things? How do we remove things that no longer serve? That surgeon that uses his surgeon's blade for good, he's taking away the dis-ease. How do we remove those things from our life? When is it time to cut something away? How can we best remove that without causing too much damage, but really that focus, that refining of the sculpting, taking that big clay and taking that extra clay away and getting that beautiful sculpture, that beautiful piece of art that's left. How do we take the excess that no longer serves us? I want you to breathe into that energy. What do you need to refine in your life? What do you need to release? From there, we move on to the energy of Kawok. And Kawok is about community. Kawok is the midwife. Kawok is very female energy, and it is the energy that champions and that defends our masculine, our male energy. Kawok. Again, what are you birthing? These are the days that we think about and we look at how are we assisting something? How do we support? That's what the midwife does. It helps and assists the birth. How do we assist our home? How do we assist in our community? How do you participate? How do you show up? Breathe into that energy. Who and what do you consider your community? How do you participate and show up? What does community mean to you? How do you assist and help birth? And from there, we go into Achpu. Achpu is the last energy. It's the 20th energy that I will be talking about. And Achpu is our warrior. It is our hunter. It is our It is a masculine energy. It is the sun. It's represented by the sun. And this masculine energy, Achpu, is the defender of the feminine, is the protector of the female. Kawok, the midwife, supports and defends the masculine. And the masculine Achpu supports and defends the feminine. This is the energy of the sun. It's the energy of divinity. Now, Achpu, all of these Nawals have, the Kahalev have a lot of significance and meaning to them. This is just a really brief discussion on them. But Achpu is, there's so many stories of Achpu and the energy of it. But this is, again, divinity, the divinity within ourselves. The divinity in all of creation and all of life. You know, take a moment and breathe into this energy. Tap into your own divinity. Tap into your own light. And allow that light to radiate. How do you allow your light to shine out? Again, the relationship with the light. And how do you feel about that relationship with the sun, with the light? How does it work through you? Think about the plants. Think about the flowers. Achpu allows us to see the divinity and the beauty in all things. Not just the flower, but each individual petal, each individual leaf, the tree, the blossoms, the leaves, the bark, the roots, every aspect of it. Ourselves. How do we look and commune with divinity? These 20 energies that we've gone through, again, these are just brief points on how we work with the energies, how we relate with them. Because it's a spiral. I started on today's day, Mosh, even though the calendar say the beginning is bats, but it always spirals and it comes back around. We are all born with our own energy. One of these energies is designated to each one of us when we come into this earth. Not only are we given this energy, but we're given a tone. And in combination, this energy and the tone, the 13 tones, gives you 260 different energies that we actually work with in the calendar. So these are, say, 20 days, but they're also divided into vibrations of the day so that you look at more specific aspects of it and how it evolves and how it works in our day-to-day is really interesting in how it plays out and what you observe and what you notice and what you pick up on those days, the synchronicities. You know, so I hope that I invite you all, you know, that to do a little bit more research. If you have any questions, any information, if you want to keep learning more about the Mayan energies, feel free to get in touch with me. They allow us to go deeper and deeper, however deep we want to choose to go. They are very personal because, again, our own energy, you know, and I do Mayan crosses, so I can figure out what your particular energy is and how you would specifically relate to the world. Me, for instance, I'm Kame. So the way I relate to the day of Tihash would be, say, different than someone that would be born on the day of bats. So depending on your energy and your resonance, this is how you move in the world. This is how you move with the calendar. And as your energy coincides with the energy, it shows you how to harmonize, how to co-create, how to co-live in harmony. So thank you so much. Many blessings. And we have a few minutes if anybody has a question or two that they would like to pose. And if not, thank you so much for letting me present.
This is Cllaudia, and I just want to thank you from the bottom of my being. The way that you present the Mayan calendar, it just opens my heart, and it gives me so much greater understanding than any other way that I've tried. And I haven't put a lot of time into it. But when you say the Mayan cross, now does that mean that you would determine the day sign and the tone? Or what is the difference? What is that like? Yeah.
Yeah, great question. The Mayan cross is basically, like I said, when we come in, we're all given that signature day. It's almost kind of like your horoscope. Mm-hmm. There is a conception day. So there's the energy that we come from, that we're conceived from, and the energy that we are at. And then there's the energy that we're moving towards. So the Mayan cross gives you the energy and the vibration that you kind of come in with. Mm-hmm. You're actively working, and the one that you're growing and evolving towards. Mm-hmm. Then on either side, we have helpers and assistants, kind mm-hmm. of the ones that bring us lessons, the ones that make us aware or support us on either side of that. So that's what we call it the Mayan cross. We're in the center, the day that we were born on, but also the day that we were conceived, and the energy that we're growing into in our evolution.
Mm. Thank you. That was very clear. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Again, if anybody has any questions or wants to get in touch with me, I am on Facebook, Cllaudia Valdes. I do have a website, www, the small, medium, at large. So you can kind of find me online. And thank you so much. And I will pass the talking stick back to Gail and close us out. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Cllaudia. That's so beautiful. Such a wonderful opportunity to hear the Mayan teachings and values right here at the beginning of the year, when we can consider these things in our path over the next year, and we can really call on this when we get to the points of discernment where we need this guidance, we need this awareness to take us through the next year as responsibly and enjoyably as possible. So we're very grateful to all of you for being here with us on Zoom, and to 7 Days of Rest, Shelley and Jan, for making this possible and giving us the community of the water protectors, bringing us together as water protectors and allowing us to share our sacred traditional ways with everyone who's interested. We're so grateful for this opportunity to be with all of you today, and so grateful especially to Cllaudia for sharing her teachings, her ancestral teachings, in such a beautiful way. We're also grateful to Pamela Schreiner for holding us in such a safe, protected, comfortable tech space. I know that's a tough job, And Pamela is so good at it, so we're grateful to have you with us, Pamela. And to Tessa for holding down the foundation of what we're doing, for giving us the space and curating this sharing that we are able to do. And we hope to see you all tomorrow on day 5, where I'll be doing Jungian dream work. So bring your dreams. We've got an opportunity to find that guidance from the soul that will take us into this year as collective. What do we need to do and consider as collective culture at this time of opportunity, of new beginnings, of so much work ahead of us? And come prepared to participate. We're going to have a very interactive presentation. Tomorrow we're going to take your dreams from the beginning of the year, and we're going to look for the magic. We're going to find the magic that our soul is sharing with us, so that we can take action in a way that will support changes and opportunities in the new year. So please join us tomorrow, same time, same Zoom link, and join us on the recordings. If you're looking at this as a recording now, we're grateful to you also for being with us and sharing in these ways. And we'll give you just a few, maybe 5 more minutes to ask any questions about what we're doing here in 7 days of rest, or what we're doing as fertile ground for co-creation. Or, you're welcome to go back to Cllaudia if you have questions that have come up and want to follow through with them with her. We've got 5 more minutes for that, and we are just so very grateful to each of you for being here with us in every way that you can. Thank you all so very much. And if you do have more interaction that you want to share, just open up your mic and we'll have an informal conversation before Pamela decides when to stop the recording. Okay, Pamela, looks like we're good.